Yes, people, it is Wednesday. Happy hump day to you. Welcome in. My name is Joe Raineri, and this is the WTF Sports TV Network. Want to thank you so very much for stopping by, hanging out with us here as you are hopefully on your way home from work, getting ready to head home. You're probably stealing corporate time right now, and we love you for that. There is nothing that we love more than people who steal corporate time. Screw them. They've got all the money anyway, and we want to thank you very much for making us a part of your day. And we've got a whole bunch of stuff going on, a whole lot of headlines you may not have heard about, certainly some Major League Baseball news. We've got to tell you the playoff race as we are less than 2 weeks away. We're going to get you caught up with the latest there. Some very important games tonight for teams like the New York Yankees. We'll tell you what's happening. Also, some football news. We've got our starting quarterbacks for a few NFL franchises. They have been announced. We'll tell you what's going on there. Also, Hurricane Florence is barreling down towards the East Coast, and let me just say this: being in South Florida, and it's not something that I've ever wanted to admit that I'm a professional at, but we in South Florida, and many of us along the East Coast, we are professional hurricane survivors, so to speak. We have each and every year right around this time, we are dealing with hurricane preparedness, batteries and supplies and generators and everything. So my heart goes out to those that are in the Carolinas and now Georgia and Virginia. And, you know, I keep hearing the professionals, the meteorologists and those that are coming out and saying how this one is different. You know, if I had $1 for every time that I've heard that this one is different here in South Florida, I could retire at this point. But with this hurricane, they are anticipating Category 3, Category 4 as it heads towards the Carolinas, and an awful lot of football games have been called, certainly college on Saturday. I'm not sure what's going to happen to the Redskins game on Sunday. I can tell you that a lot is going to depend on where this storm goes and what happens to this storm. But any which way you cut it, there is nothing fun about having to go a week and a half without electricity, without supplies. I mean, it's the aftermath. The storm is really the easiest part of it. It is everything that comes after that. That is a real giant pain in the ass. So my thoughts and my prayers and my heart goes out to those that are in the path of this bitch, Florence. And I wish you guys, stay safe. That's the most important thing. Stay safe, and we'll take care of everything else. You've got a lot of people. I mean, they have deployed reserves and volunteers and first responders from all over the country, have already gotten to the Carolinas and to Virginia and to Maryland and all up and down the eastern coast. A whole lot of folks from Florida, too, that I know are already up there waiting to respond once the storm goes away. So, again, hearts, prayers, thoughts with you guys. It sucks. It's going to suck, but I promise you, it'll be okay when it's all squared away to go. Ross, I see Ross hanging out, man. What's going on, Ross? He's joining us via Facebook Live. And that reminds me, we've got a couple of things going on right now that I want to tell you before we start diving into some of these headlines here today. Number one, we've got a new phone number here. I think it's it's over there. There you go. It's over here. It's we got a toll-free number now. Look at that. We are really getting we're really getting up there these days. 855-WTF-CALL. That's pretty easy, right? What the call, right? It's pretty easy. That's part of the WTF Sports TV network. That's 855-WTF-CALL or 983-2255. That's how you reach us here on the show. You can always chime in anytime. Thoughts, questions, comments, always welcomed here on the show. And also over here, you see that we are broadcasting to you live each and every day on Twitter, Periscope, Facebook Live, and YouTube. So you can catch us on any one of those platforms at WTF Sports TV. And, of course, my peeps there on the at Joe Raineri Show on Facebook Live. We love you, including you, Ross. Thank you very much. I know the Jets are off to a good start. We're going to talk about them in just a minute. But first I want to do is I'm calling shenanigans on Aaron Rodgers. How do you say, what is the word I'm looking for? Aaron Rodgers is, full of shit. That is the word I'm looking for, because that's exactly what Aaron Rodgers is. Now, I don't know if you guys caught the Sunday night game, but you probably have heard that Aaron Rodgers acted like Superman. Aaron Rodgers went absolutely ballistic in the second half on one leg. It was just one of the greatest Willis Reed moments of all time, if you listen to the media and so on and so forth. I can tell you this, though. He was pumped up, so full of painkillers, that at the end of that game, they did an interview with Aaron Rodgers. I don't know if you guys caught the interview. So let me play the interview for those of you that haven't seen it, because I think this will better help understand what Aaron Rodgers is saying right now. But this was Aaron Rodgers with Michelle Tafoya right after the Sunday night game, and this is what he had to say during the interview. Get a load of this. Yeah, well, if I could get it to play.
20-0 when you come back. You've played in some big games, Aaron. How do you put this one into words?
Well, it's hard to. It is. But it's the Bear-Packer rivalry. So it would have had to take something really catastrophic injury-wise to keep me off the field in the second half.
Look at his eyes.
Locker room, did all the tests. And then I was in our indoor facility trying to get it loosened up.
Yep.
But I knew once I got back on the field, the adrenaline started going. I'd be able to hang in there.
Mm-hmm.
What was the injury?
My knee.
Yeah.
I just felt something in it. Was having a hard time putting weight on it. Doc and I had a conversation there. We did the test. I told him I was going back.
Yeah.
You come back on the field, it's 20-0.
You can listen. You can just tell. I mean, you can tell just looking at his eyes. The man was not feeling a damn thing, which is why I've got to call shenanigans here. This came out a little bit earlier today, this post about Aaron Rodgers, and in the post, it talks about how Aaron is swearing that he didn't take any pain medication on Sunday night because he doesn't like them. That's right. There was a lot of adrenaline, he said, and it's pretty sore the last 3 days, but he said that he felt absolutely no pain meds whatsoever. Okay, so I'm calling shenanigans on Aaron Rodgers. There is no way, Aaron Rodgers, you were not pumped up with a whole lot of painkillers, man. And listen, we've all been there, right? I mean, anybody that's ever gotten a prescription for a pain med and has sat back on the couch, you have that look in the eyes. You guys know what that is, okay? You guys know exactly what was going on with him. He couldn't feel a damn thing. So don't lie to us, Aaron. Don't tell us that you weren't on pain meds, because there was whatever they had in the back there, whatever they had in the training room, that's what you were taking, man, because you didn't feel anything when I tell you. Also want to send a shout out here. I believe we've got Edwin. Is Edwin joining us now? We do. We got Edwin Nunez, man. Edwin, haven't seen you in a long time, my friend. How are you? Joining us via Facebook Live. Want to thank him for stopping by there. Also, Ross is saying, what was that? At, let me see here, at halftime, and this is hysterical too. You're absolutely correct. At halftime, he got a good massage from Danica Patrick. That could very well be the case there, Ross. Because did you notice how everything changed once he came out of the tunnel in the second half, and all of a sudden they went to Danica up in the booth? You're right. Maybe Danica ran down there and got a little handsy with him. And then all of a sudden, maybe that's why he didn't have any pain pills, because he wasn't feeling a damn thing. But I'm calling shenanigans on him. There is no way that you were pain med free during that during that game. There is no way. Now, that brings up the next point, is you've got to, don't be stupid here, Green Bay Packers, all right? The last thing that you need to do is jeopardize the rest of this season by pushing Aaron Rodgers too quick to get back out on the field. You can get away with that once. You can pump him all full of meds where he doesn't feel anything in that game. That's fine. But, man, there is no way you can risk throwing Aaron Rodgers out there in week 2 if he's not at least 80 to 90%. You are going to blow it, and blow it big time, because We all know with the knee and with Aaron Rodgers' history of injuries, the last thing that you want to do is risk having Aaron Rodgers being shelled for 4 or 5 games, especially in that division with the Minnesota Vikings. Well, Detroit's is hot garbage. We know that. But you've got the Chicago Bears, who don't look like they're going anywhere, and you've got the Green Bay Packers, not the Green Bay Packers, the Minnesota Vikings. You've got them there. You don't want to allow Minnesota to run away with the division. So you've got to be smart about Aaron Rodgers. If he is not at least 80% this weekend, don't blow this. Don't put Aaron Rodgers in a position where all of a sudden he gets hurt in the second quarter, and then instead of just, and what's going, oh my God, is that my girl, is that Tracy? Yes, Tracy, I know. It doesn't get any bigger than that crazy Packer-ass fan right there, Tracy St. George. Love you, girl. And you'll agree with me when I say there is no way in hell they can risk having Aaron Rodgers miss 3, 4, 5 games because they wanted to push him back. Aaron Rodgers needs somebody to protect himself from him, okay? Somebody's got to protect Aaron Rodgers from himself. He's going to want to play, but somebody in that organization has to be adult enough to be like, Aaron, take a seat. Don't worry, we've got Kaiser behind you. That's the reason we kept him. We'll go ahead and we'll be able to make it past this week without you. If he needs 2 weeks, give him 2 weeks. Do not risk losing Aaron Rodgers to injury where it's 4 or 5 weeks, possibly 6 or even more. Do not do that, whatever you do. Also, Edwin brings up a good point here, how the Vikings defense against Aaron Rodgers. Yeah, I know. You're thinking he's going to go out. It could very well happen there, Edwin. It could absolutely happen over there. Even Tracy. I mean, Tracy's telling us right here, right now, make sure that Aaron rests his ass, okay? There's no reason to throw Aaron Rodgers to the Wolves in week 2 of the NFL season. Give it time. That's all I'm going to say. Just give it time. Let him heal, let him be good to go, and make sure he's got enough pain meds. Although, according to Aaron Rodgers, again, if you're just joining us and you missed it, Aaron Rodgers wanted everybody to know today that, in fact, he is not on any pain meds. He took none after that sprained knee situation in the game. So we are calling big-time shenanigans on Aaron Rodgers. Don't hide it, Aaron. I'm sorry. Divide it. Don't hide it. That is all I am going to say, okay? That's all I'm going to say. And by the way, welcome in. Once again, we are WTF Sports TV. Thank you so very much. The sports content platform digitally that provides you sports content from around the country. We've got all sorts of different hosts and writers and podcasters from around the country that all contribute to WTF Sports TV. So we invite you to like us, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. Make sure that you follow us, subscribe so you get notified every time we do one of these crazy-ass shows. And, of course, I'll be here each and every weekday at 4 p.m. with you, getting you caught up with all the headlines and everything that is going on in the world of sports. Don't forget the phone number here, toll-free 855-WTF-CALL. Pretty simple stuff, 855-WTF-CALL. That is how you reach us here on the show. Now, I wanted to bring up a point about, and I'm so glad that you guys are joining us over there. Jeremy Dorsett, welcome in. And how did I know Jeremy was going to be talking about the Dolphins and Jets? We're going to get to that in just a minute. But I do want to point out that we had 7 brand new head coaches in the NFL that started this past week, week 1. 7 rookies, 7 newbies, 7 guys who have, 7 new coaches. A couple of them have coached in a head coach capacity before, like John Gruden, Pat Shurmur, if you want to throw him in that group too as well. But all in all, between Gruden, Shurmur, Matt Nagy from the Bears, Matt Patricia with the Lions, you got Frank Reich at the Indianapolis Colts, Mike Vrabel in Tennessee, and Steve Wilks. And I know what you're saying. Who in the hell is Steve Wilks? And hey, Peter, how are you, man? Good to see you. Thanks for stopping by Facebook Live. Who is Steve Wilks? Well, Steve Wilks, for those of you that don't know, is the Arizona Cardinals' new head coach. He was also the defensive guru for the Carolina Panthers for a while. He helped with them, and now he's got himself a head job. And of all 7 of those guys, how many of them do you think actually won a game week 1? That's correct. Squat. None of them did. As a matter of fact, they all sucked ass. Gruden, we watched what happened there. For a half, it looked like the Oakland Raiders actually knew what they were doing. For one half, that is. And then all of a sudden, something very interesting in that game happened. They ran out of running backs / wide receivers / defensive backs. All of a sudden, the parts of the Oakland Raiders that John Gruden was very instrumental in shaping, at least this first year, they didn't look all that good. In fact, Gruden, I think, has come to the realization that his wide receiver core, outside of Amari Cooper, and even with Amari Cooper, who I don't even think he played in the game, at least it felt like he didn't play in that game, they are hurt, and they got rid of Crabtree. They let Crabtree go to Baltimore for some reason because they didn't think that they actually needed some wide receivers. But John Gruden has actually brought in Matavius. Looks like Matavius Bryant is signing a 1-year deal after he was traded for. A 3rd-round pick went to Pittsburgh from Oakland to be able to get Matavius Bryant. Then the rumor came out that Matavius Bryant is still smoking weed and is facing a suspension this year. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, Oakland dropped him and released him. And now, after playing against the Rams on Monday night, I guess they looked at their wide receiver core and go, yeah, no, we're going to need some help. So Matavius Bryant back in the building. A terrible look for John Gruden. Just an awful start. It's not 1999 again, John Gruden. And this could very well go down as the biggest debacle in the history of the NFL when it comes to guys that you're handing the keys to the franchise to. $100 million, and I wish I liked Gruden, but something tells me that Gruden is stuck in an era and is stuck in a time where it's not going to work in 2018, 19, 20, 21. There's a lot going on here with the Oakland Raiders that tells me this franchise is going in the wrong direction. So Gruden, he's out. All right. Yes. New down 0-7. That's right, Edwin. The new coaches went 0-7. Pat Schumer for the New York Giants. Now, Pat's been around before. We know what's going on with Pat Schumer. The problem with Pat Schumer, I think, is that he's got to figure out what he's doing with Eli Manning. Now, Pat Schumer is supposed to be this quarterback whisperer, correct? Right? He's supposed to be this guy that did wonderful things with Case Keenum last year. And Pat Schumer is a guy that a lot of guys thought, all right, this is exactly what Eli needs. It's going to be great for the Giants. They've got a lot of weapons. And then, it didn't work out that well for Eli Manning over the weekend. In fact, he put a lot of weight on Eli Manning. He needed 37 passes to throw for 224 yards over the weekend against the Jacksonville Jags at home. One of the toughest defenses, I'll give him that. There is Saquon Barkley, Evan Ingram, Odell Beckham Jr. There is plenty, and I mean plenty, of weapons for Pat Schumer, Eli Manning, and the offense of the Giants. The only problem we've got here is that the in-game management for Pat Schumer wasn't great. There were times there, especially at the end of the game, that they still had a chance. They were down 5, under 2 minutes left to go in the game, and the play calling was really suspect. The problems with the offensive line are not going to heal themselves. Eric Flowers is still on this team, though Nate Solder is a great addition. He's going to help anchor the left side of that line, but Flowers is still on that team. So I think Pat Schumer did a pretty good job at home against a damn good defense and a damn good team in the Jacksonville Jaguars. But all in all, I think it was maybe a bit of a learning experience for him. When you look at Steve Wilkes and the Arizona Cardinals, and I didn't even know who this guy was. I had to look it up a few times. I had no idea who Steve Wilkes was. But Steve Wilkes' team is not going to be very good. The Arizona Cardinals are not going to be very good this season. It's just not. He is a rookie head coach, and unfortunately, he's going to have some growing pains. Any which way you cut it, Steve Wilkes is going to have some growing pains. Now, he does still have some weapons there. Of course, in David Johnson, one of the best running backs in the NFL, although he didn't look great against the Washington Redskins, but he still has Larry Fitzgerald. He's got Sam Bradford. He's got the rookie Josh Rosen behind him. So Bradford looked like, wow, he could use Pat Shurmur again. It wasn't a good look for the Arizona Cardinals, and it certainly wasn't a good look for a defensive-minded head coach who's got some pieces there in Arizona, and they got absolutely demolished by the Washington Redskins. And then when you look at Nagy, we have talked about this. Nagy, of course, with the Chicago Bears, he looked like the smartest coach in the world, okay? Looked like absolutely the smartest coach in the world for 2 quarters on Sunday night. Did he not? Right? I mean, absolutely smoking Aaron Rodgers. Ricky, what's going on, my man? Looked absolutely unbelievable for the first half of that Green Bay Packers game. And then something very interesting happened. Green Bay went in, made adjustments, came back out, and absolutely smoked the Chicago Bears, who looked like they had no idea what they were doing in the second half. So there is going to be some growing pains with the Chicago Bears and Matt Nagy as well. He's still trying to figure out Mitchell Trubisky. Trubisky for a half looked like he figured out how to be a NFL quarterback again. Yay! But it's those second half adjustments that really separate the guys from who knows what they're doing to the teams where, oh, man, oh, boy, to be up 17-0 going into halftime, making it up to 20-0, and then Aaron Rodgers on one leg, for him to come out and rip you like that, you've got yourselves a problem there, Matt Nagy. You're a new coach. I get it, but man, oh, man, you've got to work on the second half adjustments and being able to come out and do some different things. Frank Reich also in the Colts. Frank Reich is completely sold on Andrew Luck because he had Andrew Luck throw 53 passes. So whatever shoulder issues there may have been, I guess Frank Reich is completely okay with how Andrew Luck's health is going to be. 53 passes. Team coughed up a 13-point lead in the second half. So not great on the defensive side of the ball for the Indianapolis Colts. They were without Marlon Mack. They did have some injuries in the backfield there. They had to have Christian Michael run the damn ball for them because they completely lost the running game. But Reich had a couple of situations in that game, too, where he kind of went brain dead as a coach, didn't make the right substitutions, and it ended up costing his team against Cincinnati. And he admitted after the game, like, yeah, I got to get better on that. I got to be better. The coaches have to be better. We've got to do a better job of recognizing what the other team is doing in those situations. And he's got to figure out how to call a damn timeout. That would also help. So I give him, I thought he did a really good job. I was pretty impressed with the Andrew Luck and the Colts and his return. I didn't think the Colts were going to win that game anyway. I had Cincinnati, but 53 passes with Andrew Luck, that tells me everything that I needed to know about Andrew Luck. And anybody who had any questions about it, there's no way Frank Reich is letting him throw the ball 53 times unless he is 100% back on track. So I'm happy to see that. Mike Vrabel, for 19 hours, had to play a game here in Miami. I'm not exactly sure how that worked out with him. It was very hard to get a read on both the Dolphins and the Tennessee Titans, given the fact that these teams played for 20 minutes, rested for 3 hours, played for 10 minutes, rested for another 2.5 hours. It was tough to get a read, but Vrabel is another guy that is kind of learning by fire. Marcus Mariota looked so terrible in that game that at the very least you should hope that your defense, all right, Mike Vrabel, a former defensive guy, you would think Mike Vrabel's defense on that team would show up. And Frank Gore averaged over 7 yards a carry against that defense. And you can't have a guy who's 106 averaging, 7-8 yards a carry, and where you just can't do that as a defensive head coach. So I think Vrabel's he's definitely got some growing to do. All of these guys do. They've got a lot of learning and a lot of growing to do. But my question to you is, of these 7 guys the Pat Schumers, the Mike Vrabels, the Matt Nagy's. I'm not even going to talk about Matt Patricia. He's either got to switch from a pencil to a pen. He's got to find he's got to do something because that team is already revolting against him. I feel bad even bringing him up, but Matt Patricia, Matt Nagy, Pat Shurmur, Vrabel, Frank Reich, John Gruden, and of course Pat Shurmur. Of those 7 guys, and I'm going to ask those of you that are Ross, Edwin, and Jeremy, and Ricky, and all of these guys over here that are hanging out with us online in the chat room, which one of them is going to win the most games this year? Of those 7 guys, who do you think is going to be the coach at the end of the year that is going to have the most success this season? Is it Gruden in Oakland? I can't see that happening. Will it be Pat Shurmur? Will the Giants win 8, 9, 10 games? Is it the Bears in a very tough NFC North division? Matt Patricia, will he get it turned around there? Will Steve Wilkes impress the world in Arizona? Will the Arizona Cardinals end up with more wins? Or will Frank Reich and the Indianapolis Colts end up being the best team this year? Of those 7 rookie head coaches, which one do you think has the best shot of actually winning the most games and enjoying the most success this year? Want to hear from you too as well. 855 WTF call or 855-983-2255. You can see it up over here. Also, hit us up on the chat rooms. We've got you here. Want to know exactly what you guys think there. Edwin, Ross, those of you that are joining us via Facebook Live, YouTube Live, also on Periscope and Twitter. Just go ahead and hit me up. Tell me exactly who it is. We'll go ahead and add those up. I know Edwin's already going Schumer, huh? You think Schumer? But that's not because you're a Giants fan, so I know exactly where you're going. If I had to pick one, I really do think that the Indianapolis Colts and Frank Reich will probably enjoy the most success because he's got the best quarterback. And again, throwing that ball 53 times over the weekend was pretty damn impressive for Andrew Luck. I think with the fixes they have on the offensive line through the draft, I do like once they can get Mac back, once they can figure out the running game, I do think Andrew Luck is going to enjoy some success this year, especially as the season goes on. I do like Frank Reich and the Indianapolis Colts to probably win the most games this season. But tell me who you got there. 855-WTF call. Yes, Edwin, I know all about it. Jeremy Dorsett also joining us via Facebook Live in the chat room. And Jeremy wants to know that the Browns coach, Hugh Jackson, should be fired before it's all said and done. He knows that. The whole world knows that. He's got to win how many games? How many games does Hugh Jackson have to win this year in order to save his job? All right, throw that up on there, too. Let me see what you guys think. We got to root, really. Ross thinks that Gruden is the guy that is going to end up with the most success this year with that quarterback and that team. See, the problem that I'm having with John Gruden right now is that John Gruden, and I wish him nothing but the best because I love Gruden, but I have this funny feeling that Gruden is going to allow this ego thing to creep in where he is not going to allow himself to adapt. He is not going to grow and change and evolve to what is going on here in 2018, 19, and 20 in the NFL. I think Gruden, just by his offseason moves and what he has done, has convinced himself that he can turn the clock back in the NFL and he can be just as successful in 2018 as he was in 1999 and 2000. And I think I'm hoping that Gruden is a guy that will take a step back and go, wait a minute, this ain't going to work. Like this ain't going to work because a 32, 33-year-old Sean McVay made Gruden look like he didn't know what the hell he was doing in that game. And you want to know the difference between football in 1999 and football in 2018? Look at Sean McVay. He's the perfect example of what the future coaches in the NFL are going to look like. And I hope Gruden adapts. I really do. I hope he's willing to evolve. But the problem that I have is that I don't think he is. I think Gruden is stuck. He's one of these, old-timers, get off my lawn, you little bastards. He's one of these guys that is going to refuse to evolve because he is convinced that football, all right, is always and always has been and always will be a game of toughness and all the old cliches that you can rattle off. That's exactly what he thinks he can do with this Oakland Raiders franchise and this Oakland Raiders team. I don't see it. I do not see it. I thought it was impressive the first half where the energy was up, but I think Gruden got completely outcoached in the second half. And I think Derek Carr is not if Gruden is going to continue longevity in Oakland with this franchise, it's not going to be with Derek Carr. I'm telling you right now, Derek Carr is not a guy Gruden is going to want to build around. He may say it, but the reality is we already have enough tape on Derek Carr to know that if he's trying to throw the ball over 20 yards, there's a good chance it's going to get intercepted. It's not somebody Gruden is going to endear himself to. Plus, he's got 2 first-round picks he just got back for Khalil Mack from Chicago. If you don't think Gruden will use those 2 first picks to go out and move up a draft or go out and get a quarterback that he truly believes in, you're crazy, because that's exactly what he's doing. He's building assets to be able to go and get himself a quarterback. He knows that, at least. Gruden absolutely knows that he needs a quarterback to be able to win in this league, but I hope he gets away from having the oldest average-aged team in the NFL to something that's a little more realistic here, and that, of course, being a younger team with a lot more athleticism than the old school, rough and tough, and I'm just going to out-physical and out-pound you, because that, my friend, if you don't have the horses, ain't going to work out there. Do want to take a second quick as well and thank our sponsors, Miami Acura. You got to love Miami Acura. They want you to stop by, take a test drive, the all-new 2019 RDX. Have you guys seen this yet? Have you seen one on the road? I mean, it is absolutely gorgeous. It's one of those trucks, too, by the way. When you get in it and you take it for a test drive, you're probably going to steal it and never come back with it, and then, of course, they're going to blame me. But you should, nonetheless, go and take it for a test drive. Feel what it's like to get behind the wheel of the all-new 2019 RDX. Miami Acura, South Dixie Highway, Palmetto Bay. Those of you in the 954 and the 305, you know exactly where they're at, right out there in Kendall. Also, you can call them. Just set up a time. Tell them, so listen, Joe told me I've got to come and I got to take one of these RDXs, the all-new 2019 RDX, for a test drive. Tell me what I got to do. Call them at 855-564-4669. Want to thank them very much for that. And we've got a few other things going on here today. If you haven't heard, we'll go baseball right now very quickly to tell you exactly what's happening playoff-wise, in case you guys haven't been following, but there's only about 2 weeks left in the season. The Red Sox were the very first team to clinch a playoff berth, 99 wins, and they went ahead and got themselves a little clinching victory against the Blue Jays last night. So at 99 wins, they have now assured themselves a postseason berth. The next thing for them, of course, will be to win and clinch the American League East, and then, of course, move on to the World Series. The most impressive thing, and I didn't realize this, I just found this out about an hour ago, is that the Boston Red Sox have just set the record for the most consecutive playoff appearances by that franchise. That's a franchise record. This will be now the third season in a row the Sox will be in the postseason. And throughout the history of that organization and that franchise, this has only been done, I think, between 2007, 2009. They did it between 2003 and 2005. But now this is going to be yet again the longest streak that this organization has had, 3 consecutive playoff appearances by the Boston Red Sox, which is pretty damn impressive. Now, on the flip side, the Yankees ended up giving up a 10 spot to the Twins last night. It was horrible, absolutely horrible. Sonny Gray was on the mound for the Yankees, and Sonny Gray did what Sonny Gray does best. He gave up a shitload of runs. And, oh, yeah, by the way, he only lasted about 3 1/3 innings. So the Yankees have some issues. The Yankees have some health issues. They've got some pitching issues. And maybe the biggest question mark about this team is taking the mound tonight, and that being the struggling Luis Severino. He gets the ball in a game that the Yankees need to win. I mean, to me, it's a must-win. To Yankee fans, I'm sure you guys are agreeing, this is an absolute must-win because this is a difference between having a home play-in game for the playoffs or having to go to Oakland to play those guys, and I'm not sure you want to play the A's in Oakland in a one-game playoff to decide who moves on and who doesn't. But tonight is an absolute must-win game for the Yankees against the Twins. The A's beat the Orioles last night, so now all of a sudden it's just 2 games, I believe. The A's are just 2 games short of overtaking the Yankees. So it's getting real close for the wild card spot in the American League. And also in New York, I don't know if you guys have been following what Jacob deGrom has been doing, but he did something amazing. He went out and broke a 108-year-old record last night for allowing 3 runs or less in 26 consecutive games. And, oh, yeah, by the way, the Mets lost. I don't know if you guys know that. The Mets get, and this is the saddest part about this record, is you've got an ace like this. You've got Jacob deGrom here who's gone out and broke a 108-year-old record. You've got a guy that you know every time for 28 or 26 rather consecutive starts goes out to the mound, and you know you have a chance of winning. 26 times in a row where he hasn't given up more than 3 runs, which it's just mind-blowing. And the fact is the Mets they're just not even competitive, which is so sad on so many levels, because if you take a Jacob deGrom and you put him on the Yankees, or you put him on the Dodgers, or you put him on a contender along those lines, man, he's a game changer. That guy is an absolute game changer, and the Mets have him, and they can't win a game. But he ended up surpassing, and this is a great trivia question. Those of you who are going to head out to Duffy's there or Flanagan's or one of those places, and you're going to sit there and play fantasy, remember this name, okay? Leslie King Cole. That is right, Leslie King Cole. That is who Jacob deGrom passed and broke his 108-year-old record for allowing 3 runs or less, and Cole did it in 25 games. So you know that's some old-ass shit when you got somebody named Leslie King Cole as the guy that you passed. And congratulations to him. I mean, congratulations, Jacob deGrom. It's a shame that you don't have a team that can support you, but guess what? It's the Mets, after all. All right, so the Buffalo Bills. The Buffalo Bills have made an announcement. Don't know if you guys have seen this or not, but prior to just about a couple of hours ago, the Buffalo Bills did not know who was going to be starting in their game. But we have figured it out. Bills Mafia, we have figured out who is going to start your game this week. And I know you're trying to figure out who it is. So let me set the mood here for a second.
The Bills make me wanna shout, kick your heels up and shout, throw your hands up and shout, throw your head back and shout. Come on now, the Bills are making it happen now. Stand up now, come on and shout. Yeah, 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 yeah. Say you will. Shout it right now, baby. Say you will. Come on, come on. Say you will. Come on and shout. Say you will. Yeah. Shout. Buffalo's happening now. Shout. We're on the move now. Shout. The Bills are happening now. Shout. They're making it happen now. Shout. We got the spirit. Shout. A lot of spirit, yeah. Shout. We got the spirit. Shout. Just watch it happen now.
You got to love the Bills, man. You really do. You got to feel so bad. We're so happy for the Bills Mafia last year when they were able to make the playoffs. And, I mean, I was really excited for them. It's just an unbelievable fan base. And the fact that I happen to be in a relationship with a girl from Buffalo who loves the Buffalo Bills and probably is listening to this right now. But yes, I love Bills Mafia. I love that fan base is as diehard as they come. I'm telling you right now, I've had an opportunity to hang out with these guys, and I wish them the best of luck. I really do. I'm still part of the hashtag Anybody But Brady crew, and the Bills unfortunately, are probably going to be one of the worst teams in the NFL this year. But they have made the decision finally earlier today that Josh Allen, the Josh Allen era, their number 1 draft pick, okay, their future is going to start this Sunday versus the Chargers. Now, at last glance, I believe The Chargers were -10 on the road, I think, -9, -10. So Buffalo is going to be a home underdog this week. But for better or for worse, you are going to be starting the Josh Allen era in Buffalo. Now, the Buffalo Bill fans will tell you he should have been the quarterback or beginning. Don't waste a pick on a quarterback in the top 10. Don't move up and get him if you're going to sit his ass on the bench. You probably could have waited until the second or third round to pick yourself up a quarterback that way. But they don't have to wait anymore. Your wish is going to be granted, Bills Mafia. You've got yourself Josh Allen against the Chargers this weekend, and then probably from then on out. I don't think anybody else can stand to watch another 30 minutes or 34 minutes of Nathan Peterman without throwing up. So I think for the health of Bills Mafia and for the fan base there, put in Josh Allen, because even if he sucks beyond all suck, the reality is they'll give him a lot more leeway because he's a rookie and because they feel he's going to be the franchise. So, yes. And Bob, you know what? I had a real good feeling that Bob was going to come in here with this. Yes. Yeah, absolutely. I could not agree with you more. Bob tells us, take the Bills and the points. You can book it right now, and you better hurry up and take it while you can, because you know what's going to happen is that you're going to think the Chargers are overvalued. The public is going to come in. They're going to start betting down that number. So go ahead, take the Chargers all day long and take the points, but at least you know who your quarterback is. Another franchise and another fan base that knows who's going to be taking the field under center, some questions surrounding this team as well, is the Philadelphia Eagles. Your world champion Philadelphia Eagles, as expected, announced Nick Foles will once again be under center for their game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Doug Peterson announced it in a press conference earlier today. When asked, how is Carson Wentz? Where is Carson Wentz? What's going to be happening to Carson Wentz? They said that he is doing very good. Doug Peterson said he's doing good. He's working 11 on 11 drills. He's trending in the right direction. And when you hear cliche shit like that, it means that he's not even remotely close to being ready to start again. And I don't blame the Eagles in the least bit here. I would not be rushing back, just like we talked about earlier. I would not be rushing back Aaron Rodgers in week 2 of the season here. I would make sure that Aaron Rodgers is way closer to 100% before I put him back in a game and risk losing him for months on end. And the same thing here with Carson Wentz. You cannot force Carson Wentz or push Carson Wentz to come back before he is ready. You want to talk about setting a franchise back. You got Nick Foles, the reason you kept Nick Foles, and I am sure over the offseason, the Eagles were offered just about everything in the kitchen sink for Nick Foles, but they held steadfast because there was a lot of concern about Carson Wentz and that knee and his ability to be able to come back for that. But if there's any saving grace here for the Eagle faithful, it's that, listen, you've got the guy that won the Super Bowl for you. You've got the right backup quarterback. You didn't have to go out and find somebody and put a new system in. You've got the right guy. Nick Foles is there. He's been there. You're in the perfect position with Nick Foles. And unfortunately, for those of you that think Carson Wentz is better, yes, he is better, but unfortunately he's not available, and he's probably not going to be available for at least another month or so. So Eagle fans are going to have to wrap their head around that, absolutely. Also, the Bucs, just as a side note on this game, keep this in mind, the Bucs gave up 40 points to the Saints. They also scored 48, I believe, with Ryan Fitzpatrick. Kudos to them. But the Bucs are going to be without their 2 starting cornerbacks on this Sunday, all right? So those of you that are worried about maybe Nick Foles as a fantasy option for your quarterback, keep in mind they gave up 40 points last week, that being the Tampa Bay Bucs, and they're going to be without both of their starting cornerbacks this Sunday. Also, Deshaun Jackson, who, if you had him in fantasy, God bless. I don't know what happened there. It was probably maybe you hit the button wrong, and then you ended up with Deshaun Jackson, but he ended up scoring 30-some-odd points for a lot of people. He's out with a concussion. They don't know that he's going to be ready to go back. So they're going to be down some personnel, the Tampa Bay Bucs in there, but I would expect that Nick Foles is going to be ready to rock and roll, and you're going to see a much better performance out of Nick Foles than you did when he played the Atlanta Falcons there last Thursday. So keep that in mind. Also, another big game In baseball tonight, the Cubs ended up winning last night 3-0, so they're back to a 2-game lead in the Central over the Brewers. They've got another game tonight of the 3-game set, kind of the rubber match, but that is definitely going to be a lot of fun to watch as the season progresses here with just about 2 weeks left. You've got the Brewers and the Cardinals right on the Cubs' ass, and we talked about this yesterday. The Cubs, they are fantastic. The Cubs, especially their fan base, they love telling you how it's already a given. The Cubs are going to make the playoffs. The Cubs are going to win the World Series. Well, the fact is the Cubs may not even win the National League Central. The Brewers might do it. And if they're not careful, the Cardinals are right up their ass as well. So it'll be fun to watch how the National League Central plays out. It's an awful lot of fun to watch what's going to happen with the wild card race in the American League. But that National League, you've got a whole lot of teams all bunched up, especially in the West, and all of a sudden Chicago now is on the verge of giving up the lead to the Brewers. And where did the Brewers come from? And Josh Hader, and does he have a Twitter account anymore? It's going to be an awful lot of fun to watch the final 2 weeks of Major League Baseball and see how this plays out. I can tell you that. Going to be an awful lot of fun. All right, do want to remind you as well, want to thank our good friends over at Miami Acura for making WTF Sports TV a part of the family there. We, of course, ask that you take a test drive, the all-new 2019 RDX. Stop by 16601 South Dixie Highway, Palmetto Bay. Stop by, take it for a drive. You'll probably steal it, never bring it back, end up in jail, and then you're going to blame me for it anyway. But I'm telling you, once you get into this car, you're never going to want to get out. It's the all-new 2019 RDX only at Miami Acura. Set up a time, get in touch with them, 855-564-4669. That's 855-564-4669. And I do want to let you guys know that we've got a few things going on here in the NFL as far as updates and all sorts of good stuff along those lines. I want to get you guys caught up with all of that. We will do that. We're going to take a short pause for the cause, and when we come back, we'll get you caught up with all the latest when it comes to the NFL and the breaking news that's going on. So we'll do that. It's coming up next.